Thank you so much. So, our first morning speaker to kick off driving value through people is Audrey. So, I'm going to hand it right over to you. Thank you for being here, Audrey. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Well, first of all, thank you, Erica, Sandra, and Heather, and the rest of the Artemis members for coming together and putting this on today because being someone who works in mining with as many people in mining as I do, this is a very needed conversation to, really help us all come together and prepare for what we all need to embrace collectively for the next 8 to 10 years to meet that goal that we're all trying to achieve for 2030. I'll do my math a little bit better with 7 years. So with that being said, my name is Audrey Limbitsky, and I am the Vice President of RJC Global Impact. I'm also the CEO and founder of Team Synergy Global Consulting. RJC Global Impact is founded on the principles of mining excellence. And our organization really focuses on bringing people and processes together. My area of expertise is really all about the people part of the business. So today, when I had an opportunity to talk about my one thing, the one thing that I believe we should be focusing on for the next 7 years and beyond is really investing in whole person safety. So as we go through these next 10 minutes, I'm going to go through about 10 minutes of some information and then give you 5 minutes to ask any questions. And if there's anything that's really burning for you, write it down, and you can also discuss it or ask it during the panel at the end of all the speakers. But as we engage in this information, I want you to consider some of these statistics. So, according to a mining mental health study, people working in the mining and resource sector experience higher rates of psychological distress compared to workers in other industries, costing mining organizations an average yearly cost of $400,000 per every 170 employees. So you want to really think through that. Am I in that area? Is some of these issues that are contributing to psychological distress impacting me and my organization? 49% of Black and Indigenous workers believe that making a mistake at work will be held against them. And 35% say it is difficult to ask colleagues or a direct manager for help. Claim suppression was identified with just over 53% of those who were injured at work and met the threshold of 2 to 3 lost days at work and did not make a claim. Claim suppression is growing, and as a result of pressure, fear of getting in trouble, or peer pressure from colleagues. Less than 25% of all major global mining companies, and specifically in Canada, have yet to make material and measurable improvements in female representation. So right now, today, in Canada and the rest of the world, the mining industry is at an all-time high for employee turnover. And this turnover is contributing to an increase in mental health issues, unhealthy and toxic company culture, burnout and stress, disappearance of vital site knowledge, increase in safety incidents, low employee engagement, decrease in organizational quality and performance. Now, many of us don't really know how when it comes to asking ourselves, what are the financial impacts? So when we look at these matters, my role in the organization is really to help our clients move beyond the lip service towards meaningful progress. So many of you may or may not have already began or have been part of your own D&I initiatives. So today, out of all the companies that have been surveyed, companies are reporting that a DEI and safety mission statement that they have, only 49% of them have a strategic diversity and inclusion plan in place. Of that 49%, with a plan in place, 81% reported that they believe that DE&I initiatives are beneficial. However, they don't have enough resources. 30% of the respondents reported they don't have enough resources to support those initiatives. And 80% of today's global organizations, and particularly in Canada, that have implemented DE&I training say there was little to no impact and had the experience of just another program being ticked off the box. Why is this important? Because many of us are looking to invest in people-driven type of initiatives. Everything from leadership development, coaching, accountability, agility training, psychological safety training, communication training, time management. All these deliverables have a cost. They all have a cost. And many of us, what we're dealing with in the industry is how do we substantiate the actual cost to qualify and quantify with our CFOs, our supervisors, managers, to implement these types of initiatives into our budget. So one of the things that's very important to remember is that without psychological safety, sustainable, meaningful progress in any diversity and inclusion standards and practices cannot exist. So what is moving beyond lip service and whole person safety? So whole person safety is a proprietary method that we have developed, and it really has been developed based on a multi-industry experience. It incorporates everything from behavior economics, organizational change, policy development, leadership development, and psychology. But the most important part of it, it's a data-driven and research-based model. So it's a real progressive approach that recognizes the intricate connection between an employee's psychological experience and occupational safety experience. So bridging the two together. Basically, one cannot exist without the other. So everyone, usually when we come out, we start engaging with clients is like, how do we start this? Psychological safety has really been one of those buzzwords that's been flying around in mining in the last couple of years, specifically since a specific report has come out into the mining market. And what's very important to remember about that is that psychological safety is something that's been a critical, successful, strategic tool used in many other industries. So psychological safety is something that's sustainable and effective in many of other large industries out in the world today. But what makes whole person safety very unique is that we have to start to begin to measure the 6 critical human safety zones. So this is a process that we have when we're actually looking to identify what actually needs to be measured, what are we looking to invest in, and why. So when you're looking at how do I substantiate my investment into a safety, many of mining organizations today, or let's say all of them, have to follow certain occupational safety guidelines. If not, the risk, impact, license to operate is going to be removed. There's many other different risks and threats to an organization if occupational safety is not honored. But in order for someone to have and create an organization to create a psychologically safe culture, they must adhere and follow the critical human safety zones. So in each one of these zones is a list, an itemized list of things that a company, that we will inspect, that a company either has to see if it's working, to see what's working in that area, what's not working in that area, and what's missing. So very quickly, built-in environment safety is one of the critical human safety zones. This is, for example, let's say bathrooms. There are many washrooms that exist in a mining site, but they're not designed to be inclusive. They're not designed to have someone feel safe. And there's a lot of health risks that are attached to that. For example, many women will not go to the washroom because of either a PPE issue, that it takes a lot for them to either undress in a small confined space that's either too cold or too hot in a porta potty. There are showers and change rooms and campsites that are not designed to be inclusive and psychologically safe for women and other genders. Knowledge, equity, safety. This is critical, especially as we get into the generational knowledge transfer gap. We're losing a lot of knowledge out there, and a lot of people in the workforce are feeling insecure, not set up powerfully to win in their roles because they don't have the right knowledge equity. They're not feeling safe with the knowledge they know because it hasn't been passed on to them in an integrous and complete way. Well-being, safety, the holistic health of your employees. This is something that gets overlooked. Mindfulness, wellness, these support systems leave an individual feeling cared for so that they're feeling more engaged, resilient, and productive. Behavior safety, having the confidence to speak up without fear that there was an incident that happened, and reporting it is not going to have any pushback or consequences or repercussions for that employee. Workplace safety, onboarding and safety training is one of the biggest gaps we see in our assessment process. So when we're looking at how are you going to invest in these whole person safety initiatives, which we call Mind Your Mind program, is most of the time the onboarding and safety training is not even done completely for the workforce. Their onboarding process, there's so many pieces missing, and there's no inspection process to validate whether or not people have actually gone through the full scope of onboarding. So we then look at inclusion safety. Is there policies and standards in place? Is there practices in place where the values of an organization is a match for your inclusion mission statement, your diversity mission statement? And are there leaders that are leading with fear, creating fear within people? So these are just very quickly some examples, and you'll be able to get this deck and get some more detail onto it about it though. But it's like these are the specifics that if you don't have these in place, psychological safety, creating an inclusive and psychologically safe culture is not possible. So whole person safety is all about critical human safety zones. So I love this return on inclusivity. When we're looking at the bottom line, we need to be able to look at the metrics. And one's physiological, psychological needs equals effective, healthy, and happy employees. If you're not investing in your people who are driving organizational standards, practices, and processes, you cannot expect them to meet their KPIs, meet all their deliverables and goals each week. So as a result, when you have an opportunity to look at this, having inclusive and psychologically safe cultures will create people to include the way they speak, they think, they act, they plan, and they behave in all these core areas of an organization. So how will you close the gap? A couple of things I want to leave you with is this one very important stat is there will be in Canada 80,000 available jobs to be filled in the Canadian mining organizations. Right now, Canadian mining is not only competing with each other in our country, they're competing with the recruitment of around the world. How are you going to close the gap on filling your talent and the type of qualified talent that your organization needs? So, when you're looking at where do I invest, how do I invest, why do I invest? The first thing is you need to assess what you're dealing with. You need to develop your set of measures. What are we going to measure? What are we going to prioritize? And that what I want to leave you with is really looking at, are you avoiding? What are you avoiding that's happening in your organization today? Because what you're avoiding will add up. The compound effect will add up. And that's what's actually costing your organization. So as RJC, my team at RJC and I love to always say that now is the time, and if not now, when? So I know that was very quick. You'll
Thank
have an
you,
opportunity
Audrey.
to have the deck. And right now I'd like to open it up for any questions.
So we actually